In this video, we're going to be talking about channel routing on our new dLive. So channel routing can be done on the dLive quite a number of ways. First, let's talk about assigning and unassigning things out of a DCA. If you select a DCA, you will see on the bank view on this side all of the members of that DCA listed, since a DCA has no audio functions. If soft key number 12 is lit up, you have DCA spill active, which will give you the option of pressing the mix key on a DCA and seeing all of the members of that DCA on this left bank here. This is especially handy for DCAs that include things that you wouldn't normally access when you need to quickly get into a choir member or something like that. However, to enable or disable some member of a DCA, you will need to uncheck the DCA spill function so that it doesn't change what's on the desk. You can then press mix on a DCA and hold down the assign key, and then each channel will indicate in the bottom left with the light on whether or not it's in that DCA. Pressing mix on that channel will enable or disable that out of a DCA. Another way to enable or disable things in a DCA is to select a DCA. You do not need to have mix selected, and press the routing tab on the setup screen. This will pull up all of the things that could possibly be in the DCA and indicate with a toggle whether or not it is in it. This is an easy and fast way to enable things and disable things. You can also go the other way by selecting a channel and hitting the routing tab and seeing all of the DCAs that it is assigned to. This is a handy way to make sure that your instrument or your channel is not in a DCA that's hidden somewhere. One other thing to note is that if you mute a DCA, all of the members of that group will have a small muted light underneath the main mute button, indicating that they are muted under a DCA. Next, we have auxes. Auxes function identically to iLive. If you hit mix on an aux, you will see those fader levels flip. One other thing to note is that if you have a mix key selected for an aux, you can press this sends button on the rotary encoders, and it will send those values to the encoders rather than the faders, leaving your main mix on your faders. If you have an aux currently mixed, you can adjust pre and post by channel or by hull using the pre button right here. Selecting the aux will enable or disable pre on all, and selecting a particular channel will enable and disable pre on each channel. A small pre light will show up in the bottom of each channel strip. If your main mix is selected and you press assign, you can turn things on and off in the main mix. This is especially important if you are mixing into groups to make sure that you aren't duplicating those inputs. Speaking of groups can be assigned using the mix key and then the assign and turning those on and off. And you will see the stereo group pop up or the mono group pop up in the bottom of each channel to indicate that you are assigning or unassigning out of that stereo group. You can also use the same routing tab for both groups and auxes to be able to toggle particular inputs on and off. Please note that toggling an input on or off in a particular aux will not change the overall input value. Also note that the aux screen is slightly different, indicating overall levels of particular channels, as well as giving you the on-off values of those channels. If you have your main mix or aux selected, you'll notice that there are a couple options under the routing screen beyond the normal ones. Follow main pan allows you to enable and disable the main pan to aux controls. This simply means that what you pan your channel at on your mains, it will follow that in the stereo aux. You also have a source point selection for each individual aux. One other thing of note to be aware of is that matrices now have the option for inputs as well as outputs. This is very beneficial for us since we use it mostly as a send to headphones in the back. This means that we can add extra vocals into our headphone send specifically.